Okay, so sorry I've been away for so long, but I've had a lot going on the last 3 weeks or so. And it's time to get cracking again. So we're going to start by putting the kick bar back on and all the hardware and everything down here on the bottom, along with new nylon adjustment feet. Here, I'll show you. Sorry, oh, hang on. Okay. So I got these new nylon adjustment feet instead of metal, so they'll slide a bit better. So we're going to put these on in all four corners. So we'll start by putting the kick down bar or kick bar back on, and then we'll put the other pieces that were corroded back on the bottom part. That way we can move this around without having to use the dolly, because I've been using the dolly because of the brittle bottom. And you'll also see that I put some red T-molding on here. It's supposed to be black, but I kind of wanted to put something on there to kind of offset the theme of the Super Nintendo system here with on the side art. The Nintendo Super System is red, and there's some red elsewhere. I wanted to kind of accent that red by a couple of red accents down here. So we'll see how this turns out. But for now, we're going to put this lockdown bar back on and get the pieces on the bottom put in and get the whole bottom part put back together so we can stand it up and move it around much easier. So let's get cracking. Okay, moving on, I was able to recreate this handle block. You can see how just absolutely destroyed this thing is. It was swollen and rotten and everything, just like the rest of the bottom of the cabinet. Well, on the sides too. Trying to get this off of here, it was nailed in random spots and it just broke into a million pieces. And yeah, so I actually, well, there it went. I was able to use the tools here, recreate another piece here. Got the correct angle, the correct size. Everything is pretty much perfect. You can see here if I line this up, it's the same angle and everything. So I was able to get it perfect. So let's get this primered and painted and get this on the cabinet. Okay, so I made the pilot holes in this thing along with this. Made some pilot holes in the wood, got my screws started so I can get it lined up. Made the pilot holes in here. So I was gonna use wood glue, but I thought, man, in the future, somebody's probably gonna wanna take this off. So I decided against that. So I put 4 on each corner and 1 in the middle, and everything's ready to go. So I'm gonna get this screwed in here, and that'll be the end of this part, and we'll move on. And there we have it. new block is installed and the angle is perfect, and this is much better than trying to use that old broken one, and it should work perfect. I got a little paint on me, but that's fine. So there we go. So that's one step closer to the end, but I'm not about to break. So yep, I think now I'm going to get a little preview of the sticker recreation that I made in Photoshop. I mentioned before I took all these stickers off of here and scanned them in Photoshop and reproduced them and had them printed out along with all the artwork. So I'll show all the artwork off here when the time comes, but for now I think we'll go ahead and give a little preview and get these new decals installed here with the serial number and the other stuff here. So check this out. All right, and here they are. Full replacement decal sets, multiple copies in case I mess some up. Yeah, and you can see I've got the serial number decal replaced, 1618. So all of this stuff I was able to scan into Photoshop and basically redo from the ground up, and I wasn't able to save the original decals, so I just kind of remade them from scratch using the original ones as templates and designs. So we'll go ahead and cut these out and we'll get them installed where they need to go on the back and move on from there. Okay, so there we go. Back where they should be, and back where they should be. Kind of, sorry, it's a bad angle with the light, but yeah, turned out pretty good. So those are correct, and these are laminated. These decals are laminated. You know, originally this had a piece of plastic over it with the 4 brad nails holding it in, because it was just basically a piece of paper. But these are actually reproduced decals that are laminated, so we don't got to worry about those getting messed up unless they get physically damaged. But yeah, so turning out real nice. So let's move on. Keep going, making progress here. And here's the rest of the artwork. We got 2 pieces of side art, a bezel, monitor bezel, or you know, it goes around here. And then we have a new CPO. Now the original CPO, or the original CPO I guess that was on this from when I got it, is what it should be, but this was an option. And I think I'm going to try this. I think I'm going to take the other one off and put this one on because it has the red accents on the side. And it's got the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo logos here with the 4 buttons. Kind of like it'll match the bezel. So I think it'll complement this machine nicely to have a CPO that matches the bezel. And I'll get the new side art on here. We'll start with this side over here. And then we'll continue on from that point, probably left side, right side. And then start putting this back together, clean the inside out, get the electronics going and rewired. And I have to swap all this over from this board to that one. I think I mentioned before how I had an extra dynamo piece back here, and it's actually in fantastic shape, not swollen or damaged or anything like this one. This one has seen much better days. It's crushed and swollen and waterlogged and busted, and the only difference between these is that this has a slot here on each side, whereas this one doesn't, and that's for this extra bracket here. A bolt goes in there to hold that board in place so you can't slide it out. So all I have to do is just route out or drill out these holes on this one and swap everything over, and then we should be able to get that done fairly quickly. Then it's just going to be time for reassembly and final touches and finishing this up, and shouldn't be too much more. Hopefully I'll get all this done in this last part. So we'll see. So let's get the camera on the tripod and get this sidearm put on and see how that goes. Well, bad news. I'm not going to be able to install the sidearm because it's completely wrong when it comes to the dimensions. It is like 3 times too big for what it needs to be. It hangs over the perimeter of the outside of the cabinet on the entire perimeter. It hangs off the side by about 2 inches all around, so it's way too big. I don't know how that ended up happening, but I'm going to have to wait on new side art. But the good news is the bezel and the CPO, and that's all correct. So I can get this pretty much complete, hopefully today anyway. I can get it pretty much complete, and we'll have to have the side art application and the completion and 100% being done sometime in another video. But for the most part, we'll get this basically complete except for the side art, and see how that turns out once I get new side art. So for now, we're going to work on the marquees. The 2 marquees, the one down below for the game selection and this one up here. So the previous owner put in these LED strips or LED bars or lights, and I don't know if the original ballast works for this, but it's easier. It's going to be easier to just install this. So I'm going to remove this completely and just 3M adhesive this on the back, and that should work just fine. But what's odd is that neither this marquee or the one below actually functioned, and the machine powered on and worked, but neither one of these lights worked. The one that's back in here and the one up top. And if we look here, they didn't wire it to anything. This one plugged into here. Well, I don't know where it's at. Okay, yeah. See, this one plugs in up here like this, and it just comes down along this wire, and it splices in with this one, but it's not hooked to anything. It wasn't spliced into the wiring. It's just they hooked the 2 lights together and didn't splice them into the wiring or into the power, so neither one of them worked. So I'll have to take care of that. But for the purposes of this right here, I'm going to actually take this and remove it. And then this will plug into here. And off camera, I'm probably going to plug this into the wall, make sure it actually powers up before I stick it on here. But for now, let's go ahead and just remove this one. And then I'm going to power up this one, make sure it lights up, and if it does, I'll get it installed in here. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's installed and it works. So that's one down. We got one to go. We're gonna disconnect it here now. Oop. So, yep, I think we're gonna be good for that. The wood's kind of bowed, but there's about 4 inches here and 4 inches there. Where I can hold on to this and grab it and move the whole cabinet, so it's not going anywhere. That's gonna be just fine. So now let's move on to the one down here, and we'll get this one going. Should turn out just as nice. Oh, I did notice that the actual connector that they should have tapped into was right here. This is the connector that runs up to the marquee light, so we can just tap into that to feed the one up here and the one down here. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing here. So let's get this one in and see how this one goes. Okay, and there we go. We got both of them up and running. So that works out great. So now I need to splice them into the actual cabinet wiring, and we'll have this part of the process complete. Okay, and all the wiring is now done. I've got all the inside of here shot backed out and cleaned and wiped down. So this is all done now. I can hear some of you screaming through the camera right now. Wire nuts, what are you using wire nuts for? Do it properly. Well, this is fine. You know, I've got the wires secure with staples and zip ties holding the zip tie secure, and it's not, I mean, I move it around here, it's not going anywhere. And all the way through here, and these are properly installed. There's plenty of wire wrapped around itself with the wire nut with the tape on there. So this is secure, it's not going to go anywhere, it's safe. Same thing down here with our wire here for our marquee light, or backlight here for the marquees. So yeah, and then this is the input that should have been going to the one down here, and then up here is the input for the one that was going up top. And you can see I have this stapled and zip tied to the wood up here. So we're all good. I forgot to wrap this with tape, but I'll get to it, don't worry about it. So the only real anomaly left to really kind of worry about in here is the fact that we only have mono sound. There's two wires here running to each speaker. There is a pink with blue stripe and gray with black stripe, and then our other wire here is our ground, coming up through here and then feeding this speaker, and then over here to the other one, this one over here. So it's wired up for stereo, but it's actually mono. If you recall back in the first video, when Mario went down the pipe, instead of going, you know, doot doot doot, the normal sound of going down a pipe, it was just doot doot. The right channel was missing. So I think we have I don't know if the board is dip switch selectable or jumper selectable for stereo. I'll have to look in the dip switches and see what's going on, but I want to see if I can get this working with stereo. But it's already wired up for stereo, so I'm not really going to have to worry about that, but I wanted to trace the wires out and make sure. So I'll do that as well. But for now, all of the wiring is now done. We have our power connector here tied in and secured for our monitor, and then we have our video wire here for the CGA input all wired in. So yeah, all this stuff is now complete. I need to take this up, but no big deal. Otherwise, yeah, now we can move on. I don't really know. Let's go ahead. I got all this vacuumed out down here as well. So I need to see if I can figure out how to wire in this new cable. So basically, the original power cable it is like this real thin piece of junk. It's like there's missing the ground prong, and the cable, the wires in here are like, you know, 22 gauge wire. It's not. It's actually probably more 20 gauge. As a matter of fact, here is the wire, and yeah, it's like super thin wire. And I wanted to rewire this with a thicker gauge, heavier gauge. So I just got this extension cord here. I'm going to take this extension cord and cut the end off of here and use this and wire this in. So not only will we have longer length, but we'll have a much beefier wiring to accommodate for the amperage draw. So I'm going to actually get this wired in properly and eliminate all this junk there. and that just plugs right into the power connector. This connector in here, right there. So that's the input to feed the isolation transformer and everything else in the system. So yeah, I'm gonna get that all done and plug it in and make sure we have our 2 lights to light up, and make sure I have 115 at the monitor, and make sure everything's good to go. After all that's done, then we can start putting the coin door back in and the front plate back on, and then we'll put the monitor back in and the bezel and the glass and work on this, and slowly but surely get this all back together. So here we go. Okay, so I got everything wired in and reconnected, and I had to put a strain relief there with a zip tie there because I don't want those getting ripped out and broken. So there's a little strain relief here with a zip tie. So when you pull on the wire, the zip tie's holding it there. Now ideally you'd have the correct power supply in here, but there's none in existence. There's everywhere that sells these is sold out, and no one knows if or when they'll ever get new ones. So for now we have to just do it this way. If one ever becomes available, I'll put the correct one in. But the way that it is now will work just fine. So it's all wired in and set to go. I've got 115 here for my power supply, and I had to add a ground because there was no ground. So I added a ground lug there. So then we have our normal AC input coming off of the bundle. And then we have our monitor connector has 115, and both of our marquees light up. So now it's time to, I guess, put this back together and see how that looks backlit and all back together. Alright, there we have. The top is now done, and I was able to recreate and reinstall this decal here that says warning, consult your physician before playing video games if you have an epileptic condition, blah blah blah. So I was scanned and recreated that one as well. So now the top is, sorry for the exposure, the top is now done. So let's plug it in and see if it lights up and how it looks. Here we go. Oh, I'm getting too old for this shit. All right, let's actually get the camera on the tripod here. And let's see how it looks live from being plugged in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hot dog. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and shut the garage door. And that's what I'm talking about. There you go. Outstanding. So of course we still got that running at the same time, but yeah, that's awesome. So Okay, moving down, let's get the monitor reinstalled and the bezel and all of that jazz. And let's see how well that turns out. Okay, gonna grab the monitor and get it slaved in. So here we go. So I'm running out of daylight here. I got about maybe an hour's left of daylight, so I kind of skipped ahead of here. And this piece here for the marquees, it did not have the Lexan, and the marquees were just taped in place here, and anybody could walk up and just push it right through. So off camera, I went ahead and made a Lexan piece here to hold them in place. Obviously, they're going to get taped to the back side of this Lexan, and the Lexan's going to be held in with the, was it 2, 4, 6, 8 nuts. So I have to cut out this area here for the buttons, but otherwise, yeah, off camera here I made a new Lexan piece to hold, well, to tape the marquees to the back of the Lexan and hold the Lexan in place to keep them from being, you know, pushed right through from the front. So I have to kind of route out these areas here for the buttons, and then we'll have this piece done. We can get this installed, and I may have to stop for that at that point for this video because I'm probably going to run out of daylight. I'd like to get the coin door back in and this piece back on, where all we have left to do is get the control panel complete, and then this stuff over here, swap out the board and the wire harness and the control panel and the side art. So I think I'm going to try and get this portion of it done, and then get the coin door in and the front plate on, and then we'll have to do the control panel, all of this stuff, and the side art in the last part, in the next part here. So yeah, so let's get this complete, and then we'll see how it turns out. All right, well, I'm officially about to lose light, sunlight that is. So I've got this basically complete, and yeah, it should turn out just fine. These are actually being held in quite nicely in place by these nuts. So the nuts are in all 4 corners, and they're actually holding the I'm sure this is not the way it's supposed to be. I'm sure they get sandwiched in there with another piece of Lexan between them, but I don't have the time or the motivation, and this is kind of a half-ass commitment. So the nuts actually hold these all 4 corners in place actually very, very nicely, quite nicely. So they're installed, and we got our switches installed, and everything should be ready to go. So yeah, let's see if we can just kind of set this in here, and I'll have to run this connector down through here, and we'll see if we can set this in place. Come on, those stupid extra wires here. Okay, I think that's everything. All the switches are secure, all the wires are hooked up. I think we can go ahead and try and set this in place here. Nope, I'm hitting something and this is falling off. Give me a moment here, give me a moment. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. It's in there, but it's flat. However, it's going to have to come back out because we can still see this. It says bottom there. I'm going to have to trim that off or something. But I'm pretty sure that this is installed properly. We're sitting flat against there, and we're flat against back here. And yeah, I think that's it. So, yes, let's go ahead and plug this in. I want to see how this looks. Hang on a second. Let's, I need to... Okay. Are we ready here? Hey. Where are you at, you stupid? There you are. Look at that. Fantastic. Awesome. There's our marquee. Sweet. We're making progress. Just need to, I think I'm going to still go ahead and put the coin door in this panel here, and I think that'll be it for this part, because we still need to do all the work with swapping this over, drilling the holes on the new one, and all the control panel, getting it taken apart to put the new overlay on. So I think that'll finish this part, getting the coin door back in, get that panel back on, and we'll call this done. Did the monitor come on? It should come on. Let's turn our brightness up and see if we're gonna get, I don't know if we'll be able to see anything. Yep, look at that. Monitor is working. Brightness down, brightness up, sweetness. Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna have to take this back out to cut that off. It says bottom right there. All right, so let me get that done. I'll come back and we'll get the coin door and this panel on and call it done for this video. Okay, so I got this bottom piece cut out here, and in my haste to install this, I forgot to put the clamps in. So I got the clamps installed. They were been all sanded and primed as I showed you last time. So now I can get this thing installed properly. And then we can give it a good wipe down. Okay. Okay, so we got nice and secure, good to go. Buttons all good. So now let's see if we can reach up in there and snap this in place. Here, there we go. I didn't have it up far enough. Ah, got it. Okay, good to go. So now, let's give it a good wipe down here. Hot dog, okay. So now, let's move on to getting our coin door and our little blink off plate installed. And we'll call this done for today. Looks like we have a lot of stuff to connect before we put that in there. Which shouldn't be a problem. Oh, you know what? I gotta reattach the coin door face to the box. I got the box and the door separate. I gotta reattach that. So give me a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, so we need to this out of the way here. Set this in place. Get our tape off of here. Ah, damn it. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then our plate just simply goes right here. I gotta get the nuts and the washers on it. So there's no reason to, in the interest of time, there's no reason to sit here and watch me fight with this, trying to get it all back together like you did when I took it apart. So let me go ahead and I'm going to cut away, get it fully, completely installed, I'll cut back, and then we'll do a quick review. Okay, the coin door is 100% installed. I've got 2 new locks that are going to go in that I haven't got around to putting in yet. They're actually downstairs, and we'll do that later. But the blank off plate is fully installed. The coin door is fully installed. I can't check the lights because they come off the power supply, which of course the shelf's not installed. So, but it's pretty much done. It's all hooked back up, ready to go. So let's actually get our decals installed here. I've got the, where are you? There you are. The AC input one and the indoor use only one. And the indoor use only, well, let's actually reposition this. There we go. Okay. The indoor use only is going to go right here. So it's going to be tough to do. Oh, sorry. Tough to do this way. We're going to go right there with it. And then we're going to take the AC input one. And put it roughly, I'll say there. Outstanding. Factory fresh. Minty goodness. So there you have it. Wish I had more light there. Sorry about that. But you can see factory fresh decals reinstalled. And that's going to be about it for this video. We got a lot done. Even if I had the side art, I probably wouldn't have been able to get done tonight or everything today, so I would have had to wait anyway. But just to review here, we got coin door and blank off plate installed. The wiring is done. We got the whole bottom together, the kick bar. All of the hardware has been cleaned up, corrosion free, rust free, reinstalled. 4 brand new nylon feet installed. I'm sorry it's so dark. I'm not a professional video maker, or I'd have lights and stuff, but we saw how it turned out. And you'll see when this is complete, the final product. So we got the entire bottom complete and done and finished. We got the front complete and done and finished. We got all of this done and finished. Only thing left is to swap out the wiring and everything from that board to the other board that's not messed up, get the holes drilled, get it reinstalled along with the PCB and get everything dialed in. Get it all hooked back up, get the control panel torn apart to get the new CPO put on it, and get the side art on, and that'll wrap this up. So stay tuned for the last part. Once we get replacement side art, that should make this turn out really well. I do want to say that, like I say, I don't know exactly, I didn't really research it. I don't know exactly how this is supposed to be, because there's holes here, like there's supposed to be a piece of Lexan like I installed, and then these go behind that piece of Lexan. Then there's another piece of Lexan behind that one, and these get sandwiched together, and the one in the back is bolted in with the studs that I used, and the one in front is held in with screws here. I don't know how it's supposed to be, but this will suffice exactly fine, or really just fine the way that it is. You know, it's secure. They're not going to fall. Kids aren't going to be able to come up and just push it out. So that's going to be fine. The buttons are all secure and they work. So I think it'll turn out real nice once I get everything finished up. So that's going to be it. I appreciate you watching and following along, and it's turning out very nicely. So stay tuned for the last part, and we'll see what the final product holds.